Okay.
So hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. It's 10:30 now in Europe, so we are about to start. Today's topic is about why technical debt is an opportunity. And with me today, I have my colleague Alessa and Roberto, who are gonna give you some more details about technical debt. My name is Sofia and I'm going to be your host today, and co-hosting with me in the background is also Emily. She will be in the chat with you guys today. First of all, please make sure that your chat settings are correct so you can chat with everyone and not only with hosts and panelists. We are going to ask you to maybe type something in the chat, or if you want to discuss the topic presented in the chat, that's perfectly fine. So make sure that the setting is correct. We are also recording this session, so for people missing out on some parts of it, no, don't worry. We're gonna also put it on social media and on our blog post later, so you can find the recording there and share it around also in your network with people you think might be interested in the topic. Alessa and Roberto have also prepared some minutes in the end of the webinar to answer some of your questions, so please put all the questions in the Q&A and we will have a look at them a little bit later in this session. I'm also going to be around here in the background a little bit, so if you need me in the chat, just also pop me any questions. But I'm going to hand over now to Alessa and Roberto. They will present themselves and then dig into the topic.
So hi, I'm Roberto. I'm from Agile 42 Italy, and I'm in Agile 42 since a long time. But before I was a programmer since 80s. So I'm not so young to be a programmer anymore. So I started to make the coach 10 years ago, before I was in the software industry and digital industry. And I think that's all. So I pass to Alessa.
Thanks, Roberto. Yeah, I'm Alessa, pretty new to the Agile 42 family. I started last month. And before that, in the last 10 years, I've been working in different Agile roles. Started out as a product owner and a Scrum Master, and working as an Agile coach. So I'm going to bring in a little bit the people and product perspective to that webinar, whereas Roberto is going to concentrate more on the technical stuff. So we should have something for everyone here in the room. I'm going to start sharing my screen now to show you what we're going to talk about today. So the topics we want to cover are, first of all, what is technical debt? Why can technical debt be a threat, but also an opportunity? And in the end, how to effectively deal with technical debt. But before we dig into the tough stuff, I want to hand over to Sophia again, because we want to learn more about who's actually joining today's webinar.
That sounds really good. We have prepared a poll for you guys, so I just launched it now. You can just go inside and click your answer. So what is your focus area at work today? I'm going to give you a few seconds to click your answer. At this very moment, it seems like most of the people are clicking on the people choice. Also, if you have anything else mentioned here as your focus area, you can type it in the chat if you want to. It's always nice to know where people come from, so we know who is in the room with us. Then there's quite a tie between product and development. So I think most of you have now clicked. So I'm just going to share the results with you guys so that you get kind of a visibility of who is in the room. But the majority today is leaders, Scrum Masters, coaches, HR, and so on. But there are also product people and development people. So for you guys to know.
Thank you. Thank you. So I will start. Thank you. This is very important to know what is the audience, so I can adjust a little bit my part. And what is technical debt? Okay, technical debt is a metaphor. It's just a metaphor from one of the world best programmer, Ward Cunningham, and is a metaphor that comes in 1992, so a lot of time, 30 years ago, and far before the agility. So it's a metaphor to to explain why shipping the first time a digital product is like to go into debt. You ship it because you need feedback from your customer, from the market, because you want to be the first on the market. But you don't have the full knowledge of, it took a lot of time to take the full knowledge about what you are going to do and shipping properly. So you can make a little debt and fix it later. So it's like going to debt. Okay, I borrow some money and I ship it immediately, but I have to pay this. This is a very nice way to explain to non-technical people why we should fix it something later, because we rush. There's a new version of this metaphor that it comes from. It's okay. There's also on Wikipedia. So there's a Wikipedia page on this. So in the next slide, we see the new definition. The new definition is we ship a limited solution. We ship an easy solution to speed up and to have immediate feedback from the market, from our customer. And then we know that this implied extra additional work after, an extra cost, and we should pay as soon as possible. To have a better approach, it takes longer, so we should make immediately. I just want to wipe out some misunderstanding about technical debt. Technical debt is not bad code, is not bad solution, is not put something in production that does not really work, is to ship with the quality that we can do quickly, but with quality. So a working solution with the knowledge we have now. So we don't make a lot of analysis upfront, but say, okay, we ship it as good as we can to acquire feedback. And when we have feedback, so when we know that our hypothesis is verified, we can do it better. And this is very in the heart of Scrum, or any agile way of building a solution. So we borrow some feedback, some time now to pay it later. And this is not messy code. Messy code is the result if you continuously make this kind of debt. So if you continuously make this kind of debt, the result is messy code, lose the control on your product because you are deep in knowledge debt. So Scrum or any agile way of working is a very good way to deal with this, because the incremental way to build a product with a small increment every sprint or every release contain the depths. So you can make a deliberate small technical debt every time that you ship it. And in the review, you can check it, verify how big is the debt you made to acquire valuable feedback. Nothing is for free, really. So if you have fast feedback, you have to pay something in another form. And the form is we call technical debt. So it's knowledge debt in some form, design debt. Many times you rush in production with a not so good design. But it's very good if you spot a business opportunity. If you spot a business opportunity and you want to be the first, or you want to have a quick feedback from the market, to generate small technical debt is very good, but it's not free lunch. So you have to pay your debt, or you'll be bankrupt. that this means that your software go in technical trouble, serious technical trouble, or you lose the control of of some part of your system. Okay, this is the good part. This is not all the story. There's another kind of technical debt. The technical debt you do without any intention. You do unintentional. And this is technical debt. You ship the software and you think that you know everything about that. And when you go to the review in front of the stakeholder of your users, they say, oh, this is not exactly what I expected. And we should have done it differently, not in that way. Yes, there's a small change. This can be technical debt. Don't put a stone on it. Don't hide this. This is something that you have to fix in a way or in another. And review meeting is perfect to find it and spot it and quantify it. So this divide the type of technical debt in 4 different kinds that a great programmer, Martin Fowler, defined very well in a blog post. Every part of this talk, the link of the source will be in our blog after the webinar. So Martin Fowler identified this very clearly. You can in the right of the quadrant you have prudent technical debt. So you make small technical debt. This is what we expect from a team that work in agile way. Small increment, small technical debt. You can do deliberately on the top, or without any intention, intentionally or inadvertent, as Martin Fowler put on the map. And this two kind is quite good in business development, because you make a small debt to acquire immediate feedback. And also, if you do unintentionally, say, oh, I see now we should have done this, but you can immediately fix it. So at that review, you spot it, you put another technical task in your backlog, and this is quite a good way to handle it. But there's the other way. There's a reckless. So you make a big technical debt. So if you do deliberately, you go quick and dirty in production. So we have to, we spot a business opportunity. So guys, we have to make a big technical debt. Can we borrow all this time? Yes, if you are not deep in the debt. If you are deep in the debt, maybe it's not a good idea to add a reckless technical debt. While if you ignore this, if you do unintentionally, you go in serious trouble, and the result is messy code, ignorance. You lose the control of some part of your product, and this is not very good. Really, this can be scary, because how you can detect it? Oh yeah, no one want to add some feature in that area, and there's a lot of problem and so on. So the technical debt you can generate with deliberate actions, so quick and dirty or prudent, every small technical debt to ship it now and fix it later, no problem, or without any intention. And without any intention is a problem, and you should check it. But we talk about this later. Now that we have quickly define what is technical debt and what is not technical debt. We have prepared another poll just to ask what is your experience with technical debt. So do you know technical debt before this webinar? Do you have any experience about this? Just let us know so we can focus on the different aspect of technical debt. Thank you.
So the poll is launched. So let's see how people start reacting to it. I'm very happy that people are actively clicking on this. It's very nice to be interactive with you guys. And for before I share the results, I can see that there's kind of a tight split between these answers. So the majority right now are answering that I know what it is and I have an idea about how to deal with it. But then there are also people that have just heard about it, or people that are new to technical debt, and some that are more experienced. So the voting is quite interesting at the moment. And I can see now that the voting is coming to an end. So I'm just going to share the results here with you guys. So as you can see, the majority knows what it is and have an idea about what it is. But some are also new and some are more experienced. So it's a good mix in the room today.
Cool. Thanks, Via, for the insight. It helps us to adapt a little bit the content that we are going to share with you today. And now that you've heard a little bit about what technical debt is, I want to draw your attention to a question that we think is very important. Like, why do agility and technical debt go hand in hand, right? So if you think about product development in the last century, like 100 years before, the markets were moving slowly. You had a lot of time to prepare and design your product, and you had a lot of time in the market to have this product being live. Today, with globalization and interconnectedness, things changed, right? We're living in a VUCA world. In case you already heard that term, we have a lot of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, and we need to create a way to deal with that, right? So we do not have that much time anymore to develop a product and also to bring it to the market, and it will not stay that long on the market. So everything becomes quicker, and a way to deal with that is create a vision and understanding and clarity in order to find out how to serve our customers best. And this is where agility comes in and helps us to iteratively, incrementally figure out what the best solution for the market can be at a certain point in time. Unless we are perfect and we do not need any feedback and we know exactly how to build a product, when to build it, and when the customer needs it. But let's skip that one for now. So agility allows us to work with abstractions by modeling the solution we are designing incrementally. Abstractions are important because oftentimes we do not know how the solution is going to look like in the end, right? We're figuring out on the way. So by shipping faster, by being agile, we get customer feedback early, and this allows us to inspect and adapt accordingly. So sometimes when we're doing that, we need to do some shortcuts, or maybe, as Roberto says, we need to ship an easy or a limited solution first in order to experiment with that design and get the customer feedback that we need in order to figure out where to go. So I want to state that acquiring technical debt is not a technical topic, but it's also a design topic, because we have this uncertainty and we need to figure out how the solution is going to look like in the end. So by design, agility allows us to grasp some market opportunities by taking on some technical debt. And as long as you pay that debt back, this is a good thing, right? Because it enables communication and collaboration around that abstract solution that you're building. And also it generates competitiveness in case you want to hop on some business opportunities. So this is about how agility and technical debt go hand in hand. And the next question I want to ask is, why does technical debt even matter, right? What happens if we don't care, if we just ignore technical debt and we pretend it doesn't exist? So in order to do that, because I said that we're oftentimes working on abstract solutions, I want you to think about a very simple and visual example. So you guys are all going to be construction workers today, right? You're going to have your first day at work. You're going to work on a house and you're going to add some new features to that house. For example, a window or a door or whatever. So you're super motivated and you get to the construction site and you see the house that is waiting there for you to have some new features added. And the house you're seeing is the one on the bottom left, right? See, not in a good state. The foundation is missing. The whole construction doesn't seem to be very stable, has some holes in the wall, and the roof isn't what it used to be, right? So this house has acquired some technical debt in the past. And what does that do to you as a person, as a worker coming to that construction site on this first day of work, right? So I bet your moral and your motivation instantly go down when you see that. And how is that going to affect your quality of work? Well, I bet if you work on that, you're not going to perform the best work you've ever done, right? If you think about adding a window to that, no matter what you perform, it's probably not going to be a great solution, right? So all this combined will also lead to lower productivity because everything takes longer, because it's super risky to touch that house, right? Just imagine your task is to add a window to that. It's not like in a normal house where you just take out the old window and put in a new one and it takes maybe 3 or 4 hours. But here you have to think about how to deal with that without breaking the whole house. So what happens if the productivity goes down? Well, we have that little man on the picture here on the right-hand side. He's the manager, right? Manager coming around. I don't understand why it takes so long to put in a new window. Usually it's 3 or 4 hours. You're already working on that the whole day. So he puts pressure on you, right? The manager comes out, puts pressure to you in order to increase productivity. So maybe he says, hey, here's a deadline. This thing is going to be finished until tomorrow morning. So what are you guys going to do? Well, you're probably going to work all night and get that window into that house somehow. But again, it's probably not going to be a great solution. So you're probably generating even more technical debt by doing that. And this is one turn in that spiral here, in that technical debt vicious circle that you risk to get into if you don't take care of your technical debt. And how that looks like on the long run, if we look at the cost of delay profile of technical debt, like how much does it cost us to not take care of our technical debt immediately? We have here an intangible cost of delay profile, which means that in the beginning, you're not going to feel it that much, right? But at a certain point in time, it's exponentially going to grow and it's going to come down on you. And we've seen projects where this happens. And if you're in that upper part of the curve, usually you have two choices, right? Either you pause your business, you pause adding new value to the customer, and you take care of all the debt that you have accumulated in the past. And this can take months and sometimes also years, or you just throw your solution away and build it new with what you know now. So this can happen if you do not take care of technical debt. But since you all know now what technical debt is and why it's important to take care of it, we hope that this does not happen to you. So here we want to share with you a little bit why technical debt can be an opportunity, but also a threat. And the threat, we've just seen that, right, with our construction example. We have built here two graphs that show two different teams. And if we focus on the left one, we see exactly what we've been playing with our construction example, right? If we suppose that on the x-axis we have the time and on the y-axis we have the velocity, and we work in different increments, we see that this team in the first iteration here, they have invested 100% of their time in product development. And they continue to do so in the rest of their iterations. But as we see here, the green part is piling up. And this is the overhead they have due to the unmanaged technical debt they accumulated. Just think of your window example from earlier. Usually it would maybe take 3 or 4 hours to put that window in. But since you have so much technical debt in the background, well, the further it goes, the longer it's going to take and the less time you have in an iteration to actually spend on creating value to the customer. But there's another way to deal with it. And this is why we want to shout out to technical debt also being an opportunity. So the team here on the right-hand side has taken a different approach. So what you see here is that from the beginning, these guys have continuously invested a small amount of their time, as Roberto said, can be a certain percentage, maybe 10%, maybe 20% of their time in reducing and paying back their technical debt. So these guys are pretty much stable here. Even though they don't spend all of their time into product development, they kept a healthy ratio, which prepares them for upcoming business opportunities. And what does that mean? Like, let's just assume that at the end of that graph here, on the right, there's a business opportunity coming up in the market, something unpredictable, a pandemic striking, right? Uncertainty, complexity, there's something coming up that you could not predict in the future. And you see that your team and your organization would have the skills to grasp that opportunity and rush to production, be the first one to create a great solution for the customers. Can the team on the right-hand side do it? Well, they can, if they take on a little more technical debt to ship fast and put a quick solution on the market. Can the team on the left-hand side do that? Well, probably not, because their business would come to a standstill, right? So make sure that you continuously invest in your technical debt to pay it back. And how you can do that and how you can manage that, this is what Roberto is going to tell you now.
Yeah, it's like to have the healthy habitude to clean the house. Okay, don't let the dirty pile up. So the first part is quite clear. All your people should see the house. So you need to visualize the technical debt in some way. To maintain the metaphor of the house, the manager should look at the house, say, oh, this is not really a good house. But sometimes our work is not so easy to visualize. We make knowledge work, so knowledge work is not so easy to visualize, to quantify, and to share. You cannot manage if you don't visualize and share the knowledge with people. So let's first see how we can visualize the technical debt, then how we share, and then we manage. So information to visualize technical debt, the first one is location. It's very important to understand in your system where you produce technical debt. Where is the area? What is the part that suffer from technical debt, or in which you want to make a technical debt? Let me make an example. If I want to make a very quick shipping in the market, and I'm very interested in, I don't know, iPhone market, I can put the iPhone solution first in my schedule. But probably the iPhone solution that I run to build have not a good structure, internal structure. So maybe I know that in iPhone I did a little debt, and I check it in the review. And so when I rush to build the Android solution, say, oh, wait, I have also the iPhone is not perfect now. So maybe it's better that I reserve a little small of my time to pay the debt in the iPhone zone before coming and put all the functionality in the Android solution. Location is critical, is really important. And origin, why we build this? Because we need feedback, because this is very important if you have a cause effect problem, like I make technical debt in this area because I have another technical debt in another area, or because I don't know how to do this because it's the first time. Okay, you don't know how to do this because it's the first time you did something. Okay, this is why. There's no another cause, a hidden cause. And quantity is difficult to understand. I know that it's difficult, but I suggest to measure this quantity like, what is the cost to fix this? Or I really don't know the cost, maybe it's high, but at least it's complex. So I can estimate this technical debt like a user story. How much is complex to deal with, to refactor this area, or to fix or pay this debt? How can be complex to reduce this debt to something much smaller? Much smaller is what we need. There's also the idea to see cost of delay. And this is very good to communicate with the product owner. If you are not a product owner, and I say, okay, for now, this cost is quite manageable. But if we don't fix it before the next deploy, maybe it can rise, and maybe if we put something else, can go very serious. So try to explain a quantity so that the people that can understand and you can share it. So share is really important. So as we go in the next slide, we need to map it, and we need first to map our deliberate tech debt. At the review, we make a small, I don't know, a small post-it or something, and put it in our backlog, map it. In this area, we make a small technical debt, and then we need to spot all the unintentional tech debt, and this is not easy. So the first, if you are the product owner, I strongly recommend ask the team. The team normally, the guys in the team normally knows where there is the bad stuff. If you are in the team, you have a different way to search for technical debt. The most clear is when you have an area, a location in your system where the maintenance cost or the bug fixing cost is increasing. This is a clear indicator of there's technical debt inside. If every time you make a modification, the cost is rising, because every time is much difficult to add some feature in that area, that is probably a good location to look for technical debt. If your design is not sounding anymore because you don't know, you don't clearly understand this design, this is a very good location to look for technical debt. If you have difficulty to estimate, to make forecasting in some area, while in the other area is perfect. Maybe you have areas with zero technical debt because you did it a lot of times, so you know exactly how to do it. And so that is a very good comparison. Compare with the area that you know perfect, exactly. And then you compare with another area of your system, say, oh, why my estimation in this area are not so good as in the other area? Maybe here there's some technical debt. Look in this and you will find something that was not so easy to understand. And then when you find the location, try to understand why, if this is a cause of an effect, and then try to estimate, or at minimum, make it visible to the product owner, to the manager, to the people that don't understand the technical part. What is the risk to leave that area in that way? The risk is really important. Okay, then you add to the map the deliberate and the unintentional tech debt you spot, or also if you have some legacy, very old, but you don't know how it works. This is very old technical debt, very dangerous. So try to explain, okay, every time that you ask to me to add something in that area, it will cost much more than in another area for this reason. And at least add it to the map and order by urgency, complexity, risk. This is a shared discussion with the business. Say, okay, guys, in this area, I have technical debt. I want to know if we want to pay it order by urgency because we need to modify this functionality. For complexity, for risk, you have to have a discussion about this. So make it visible, make it understandable by the business, give a raw quantity, and then you can try to deal with it. How to deal with technical debt? Okay, I strongly recommend to have a visible and barely order map of technical debt, and then we can make a refactory plan, like a repaying plan if you are deep in debt, like Italy. Yeah, like Italy. Yeah, I think that we should have something similar to, yeah, you know. Okay, return to technical debt. Have a refactoring plan, something that, okay, I can pay this because now I'm shipping something else, so I have not so much time, but in 2 sprints I have to pay at least 10% of my time. So this plan can be a fixed time, and this is a lot of team I work, they use fixed time, like 10% of the capacity of the sprint or something like that. 10% is quite high payment. I think 5% is not is something that go below the 5% is really you should do something you know very well, very well. Or you can plan in the sprint backlog. If you spot some very dangerous technical debt or risky, you can treat it, quantify it as a technical task, something you should have a very good definition of what you think that is an acceptance criteria, something like this, and say, okay, I want to reduce the technical debt in this area. I think that this could be done in, I think, 5 story point or something like this, to arrive to reach this level of complexity. And you can make a fixed time or plan it in the sprint backlog. I don't think that there's other way, but is the other way. I'm really happy to listen. And when you finish, check your tech debt regularly. And then you finish, you check it again and said, is this reduced? No. Okay, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble because I don't have fixed what I have done. And check it regularly. I don't do, if it's too technical, don't do it a sprint review, please. Sprint review is for all the teams, so also the business part. And maybe you can make a code review before to quantify and make it visible and talk only about the result at the sprint review. So everyone can understand what is the risk, what is the cost, what is the urgency to deal with this. I think that this is all. I think that we can pass some takeaway. Remember in the takeaways that tech debt is practically unavoidable if you don't have 100% control of your product is practically unavoidable. Please, Alessa, can you continue on that?
This was the first part of our takeaways, right? Technical debt is practically inevitable in agile product development. And also the second takeaway is technical debt can become a threat when it is out of control. And we've seen that with our little house example. But if you have your technical debt under control, it allows you to speed up when it's needed, which means that it's an opportunity for business agility. And as you see, it's closely related to the agile way of working. So if you want to learn more about the concept of technical debt, you can join us in any of our certified Scrum trainings, because there's at least a small part in all of the trainings, if it's for product owners, Scrum Masters, or especially for the developers. Of course, there we talk about it a little bit more in depth, but this would be a way where you can learn even more about it.
Yeah, especially how to show to the business what is technical debt. Yeah. Okay, we finished. I think that now we can
maybe take some
ask the
questions.
question.
Thank you, Alessa and Roberto, for the nice presentation. We already have a few questions and a few comments that I would like to kind of share with you and get your thoughts on. So there's one participant who just mentioned that he has to deal with technical debt, but he's not sure how to do it. Do you have any tips or tricks for this person on how to move forward?
Make it visible. Make it visible, make it understandable by the business. Talk about risk, cost, quantity, medium time between failure in your area, how it costs if this part shut down without, how it costs to maintenance. The maintenance cost is the 70% of the cost of software or digital product. You need to have maintenance on this. If the maintenance has a rising cost, is very big stuff. Make it visible to the business.
Yeah, and
make
also
it understandable for the business.
Exactly. That was what I was going to add. Make it understandable for the business too. So you need to speak their language, right? If you come with some code details and stuff, people are probably not going to understand. But if you work with metaphors, as we've presented, as technical debt, as a debt, or the example that we showed with the house, or the graphs, cost of delay profiles and everything, like you have to speak the language of the people you're talking to. And sometimes this can be a disruption between a developer language and business language. So make sure that you kind of use the argumentation that the other people can also understand.
Thank you. Then another question. How do you recommend to handle a situation where the stakeholders raise tech debt, which is urgent to resolve, but then the team views this requirement as a feature since it was not part of the initial stated requirements? How would you handle that?
Sorry, just try to, okay.
So the stakeholders raise the technical debt, but then the team maybe has another view on that situation.
Okay. This is a quite weird situation, because it's the stakeholder that spot the technical debt and say that it's urgent to resolve. If urgent, we normally have 3 or 4 levels of urgency, like fatal, critical, serious, or okay, it's not urgent. And it's a fatal means if you are in the business, digital service business, means a shutdown of the system. So I don't know if the requirement as a feature is more important than that. We need to understand the difference between urgent and valuable. If it's urgent, it's like ER. You should act like an ER department. So I think that my recommendation is to understand what is the difference between urgent, valuable, and the plan. If something is quite urgent and fix some technical debt can be urgent, it should take the priority, at least to fix it, and then understand what is going first. So I have very clear the difference between what's happened if we delay this decision. What is the cost of delay of this decision? This is basically my suggestion. I really don't understand why stakeholders should give technical debt to the team. The team should be aware of technical debt, but maybe it was spotted by another team, and then the other team should say how much is urgent compared to the requirement.
It's also the question if it's actually technical debt, right? Because we talk here about the team seeing that as a new feature that has not been named before. So maybe it's also some kind of design debt or feature debt, something that we did not know before and that we learned, and it can actually be a new feature. But I agree with you, Roberto, the stakeholders coming up with technical debt rather than the developers would be surprising.
Thank you. Another question, is technical debt only code or software related, or can it be found also in different areas?
Yeah, sorry, I found it in marketing. We have a marketing campaign, digital marketing campaign with the Scrum team, and was the first time that they make campaign. I don't know with what, I don't remember what was the media, and we run in the campaign too fast, and then they have to rebuild half of the campaign, and that was not code. Was simply the first time that they made the campaign on that media, and they make a small like a small part rush in they put in that media, and they found, oh, that was not so good, and they rebuild it. And they think that this is kind of knowledge debt that they did, and technical is a technical debt. They make the first shipment and then they deal with the consequence later. So what's happened if they continue to do that? If they say, okay, but we keep this way of make the campaign as they have to rebuild it. They have to fix some part and build the second campaign better. I think that is something related to this.
Thank you. A question more about tools, how to collect technical debt metrics. How can you make them visible without metrics? Are there any tools to use?
Yeah, we use a lot of tools to spot technical debt. Like there's a very rework is one of the first. Some file that you continuously modify every sprint for make something different. Some area that you have heavily rework maybe is something that you should look like. Oh, there's a static code analysis tool, obviously, like Sonar, that can make a map of the complexity of your code, and maybe code that is not so good have high level of complexity, or patch over patch over patch brings bad code metrics. But this is for code. If you don't, for code, there's a lot of metrics, a lot of tool that you can use automatically with the Git at every commit and every shipping. I don't know, every time when you build it. Or if you don't have code, you can also use rework, or rework without connection with the user story. This is quite tricky. If you have to rework on some document and the document was not related to the user story you modify, maybe there's some dependencies that is not working very well. This is spot for technical debt. Also not non-software industry.
Thank you. There are some people in the chat that would like to have them type down the tools that you just mentioned, but maybe we can add them also with the sources in a blog post with the recording, so that people will get these and can look into them.
Yeah, I did note of that.
Super. So another question, is lack of skills also a form of technical debt?
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe I can go with that one. We can see different forms of debt, basically. So we can see, for example, technical debt, but there's also skill debt, right? So in case you have missing or weak skills within the team, I would rather call that skill debt, as well as what we've talked about before, feature debt, right? If you have missing capabilities in the code that lower its value, this would rather be another form of debt, feature debt, or quality debt, for example, right? If you have unidentified defects or a lack of clarity about quality targets or whatever. And there's different forms of debt, which of course might pile up one day if you don't pay them back.
Thank you. You spoke about this percentage of the time that would be good to use for technical debt. Can you, from your experience, share maybe how much time would be good to spend on technical debt, or is it difficult to say?
Yeah, this depends from your I see 5%, I see 25% if you are near to a big release and there's danger that everything goes banana directly. So take your time, but 5%, half a day of work. I think that this is much gut feeling from the team that should be measured. So after, I think, 3, 4, 5 sprints, you have a better idea what is need to keep the control under. If you have a big legacy, I work with a common legacy older than me and was unbelievably old, and that maybe the elephant should be treated in a different way. So if your business say, I want to change that COBOL function, take a lot of time. But normally I think that is a small percentage is much wiser.
Thank you. Then here's another question. How do you view maintenance efforts like upgrades, etc., which is also sometimes seen as a form of debt? Do you talk about both maintenance and technical debt in the same conversations, or should they be separate?
This is a very good question that this is some question about product ownership. Some change request, some maintenance cost is really lack of knowledge when you make the first version of the earlier version. And sometimes maintenance is due to bad design of the code at the beginning, but not intentionally. You don't know how to do it at the beginning. I don't know. Sometimes I found who wrote this stuff. I say, oh, Bettazzoni is me. Wow, it was a long time ago. And but I don't do it intentionally. Sometimes you have to repaint your house. Maintenance is very related to technical debt. We call maintenance something that probably was knowledge debt 5 years ago, but we don't know. It's something that if we do intentionally, this is something different. If we do unintentionally, we have to take care to do not do intentionally on unintentional tech debt. This can be dangerous.
Maybe for the example of the upgrades, I think it can be maintenance to do upgrades until a certain point, until you have accumulated too many upgrades to run at once, where it becomes then technical debt if you don't upgrade regularly, right?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. You also spoke about technical debt in the sprint review, but can technical debt items also be added to the sprint work, or should there be a dedicated sprint only for technical debt?
In my experience, a dedicated sprint to technical debt means that you are deep in the trouble, or you have time. You say, okay, now we have time. So let's make a sprint to fix that big elephant in the room. And this is wise if you have this problem. But I think there is more day-by-day activity, like every sprint review, you check it. Yeah, it is as I expected. Yes, no. Oh, it's not as I expected. Maybe this is something that I should take care. And I make a small note. There's something to fix in that area. A dedicated sprint means that you didn't check it in the past for a long time. So you have to remember that it is a debt. So if you leave the debt can only get worse. It is not resolved by himself. Okay, itself. Sorry.
Thank you. Then there's one other question about a person that thinks our product has a lot of technical debt, but I have the impression that business people are not aware of it. So how can I, as a developer, approach this? And also maybe if you can give some advice on how you convince business to tackle technical debt, that would be helpful.
In my experience, cost of maintenance, cost. I think that this is the key. Cost and risk. This is the only two words that business people really, really understand. Or they have blah, 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 cost. Cost, keep up. How much it cost? What is the risk? How is the cost of delay? The cost of doing nothing? How is dangerous to do this? This is something I know that is extremely difficult to translate it in cost or in risk or in. I think the cost of maintenance or bug fixing can be one of the most important part to talk about. Yeah, cost.
Thank you. You've mentioned now also cost of delay a few times, and we had also previously a webinar about that. So if people are interested to listen more into that topic, you can also find that from our blog if you scroll to a little bit more older posts there. Also, as we are getting to the last minutes of today's webinar, I would like to take this time to thank everyone who was in the room with us today. It's been really nice to have these discussions with you, and we're very, very thankful that you also interactively voted on the polls and asked good questions to Roberto and Alessa today. So thank you very much for that. The recording will be up and running, hopefully still this week, but latest next week. If you want to share it around, please stay in touch also via LinkedIn and our other social media channels to be sure that you get the latest topics from us. We will have one more webinar this month. There was also actually a question about this. Sorry, not this month, this year. The year is coming to an end very fast. So we're going to talk about burnout next month. So please also sign up for that already now. My colleague Emily is here sharing a little bit more details with you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out also to any of our offices about technical debt, or if you need any kind of discussion or ball plank from our coaches, they are always happy to help with these matters as well. Thanks for staying here today and hope to see you next time. And also thank you, Roberta and Alessa, for taking time to go through technical debt with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Ciao.